Imagine standing in the center of a room, but the floor is completely covered in Lego pieces. You know, the ones our parents were always completely terrified of stepping on without shoes. Now imagine a 10-year-old boy walking past you in this room. Imagine him sitting on the floor, and he begins to pick up pieces. At first slowly, and then quickly. After about an hour, he has this built. No instructions, no picture, just built from the image of the last time he put it together, 3 years ago. Now, I don't know about you, but I know for me, I can barely put together one of these Lego cars in an hour with the instructions and all the correct pieces. A few years ago, this exact situation happened to me with my cousin, who's 2.5 years younger than me. As a family member of a child who is on the autism spectrum, and as an aspiring pediatrician, I have always been curious as to what the best way to educate these children is. From experience with my cousin, he's very intelligent, and he picks up on things very quickly, as with the Legos. However, the high school where he's now attending is considering keeping him in school until he's 21 years old. Is this the common solution for children with autism? Is it the best solution? To answer this question, you will first need to understand autism spectrum disorder and its effect on children, understand early diagnosis of ASD along with early treatment and current education plans, and then formulate an educational goal for children on the spectrum. While some of you may know a lot about autism, some of you also probably have no idea what I'm talking about. And that's okay. Nearly 1 in every 68 children in the United States is diagnosed with autism. This means that nearly 20 children at Stanley Lake High School, 37 at Westminster, 24 at Columbine, 51 at Cherry Creek, and 6 children here in our own high school are diagnosed with autism. Autism is defined by challenges with social skills, speech, repetitive behaviors, and nonverbal communication. The autism spectrum can range from being ADHD to Asperger's to having severe autism, which is characterized by being nonverbal. Communication skills are by far the biggest challenge of children with autism. In fact, characterizing autism as a learning disability may be a bit misleading. Almost half of all autistic children have an average or an above average IQ. This means they really aren't far behind the other kids intellectually. The question then becomes, why do autistic children, despite their high IQ scores, continue to struggle in our education system? And what can we do to enhance their intellectual abilities? The shocking truth about autism is that there really is no concrete plan on how to educate children on the spectrum. The main reason for this being that each child will require an individualized, modified learning environment, meaning it's going to be different for every child, especially since the spectrum is so broad. Children with autism are still required by the No Child Left Behind Act to learn the same core curriculum that all other children are also required to learn. However, children with autism also generally need to be taught life skills that other children would already possess. These include shared attention, reading social signals, and reading emotional expression. I just had the best day today. Now, most of you probably heard the sarcasm in my voice. How many of you experienced sarcasm today? You all should be raising your hand because I was just sarcastic. However, for us, sarcasm is a part of our everyday life, and sometimes we don't even notice it. But for a child with autism, sarcasm is misleading and can often lead to confusion. Surprisingly, one study found that the majority of educational staff receives no specific training for how to teach children with learning disabilities. It is estimated that nearly 4.6 million school-age children in the United States is diagnosed with a learning disability, yet teachers are only taught how to teach the normal kids. One study conducted had 2 groups of children, both symptomatic of ASD. The 2 groups of children were between 7 and 15 months of age. One of the groups of children, this group, was put through a short treatment program, and then parents were expected to continue an at-home treatment. When the children were 36 months old, they were compared. They found that the treated group of children showed far less symptoms of ASD than the untreated group of children, showing that early treatment can benefit children with autism. So is the same true for education? Another surprising statistic is that most children with ASD begin showing symptoms when they are between 18 and 24 months of age. However, the median age for diagnosis is 5.5 years old. Countless studies have been done in the last 20 years or so about autism, but they take a lot of time and a lot of money to conduct. As with the last survey, it takes months, years even, to conduct, so there still isn't a lot of information. Many pediatricians, psychologists, educators, and even lawmakers have discussed the same topic I stand here to talk about today. What is the best educational plan or goal for children who are on the autism spectrum? Of course, the answer isn't going to be obvious. Every child is different, along with every situation. But while at the beginning of my research, I believed that the education system should be actively seeking a solution to the problem, I very quickly learned that a solution would take a lot of work from both the parents and from the system. Through my research, I came up with what I believe is a beneficial learning plan, a way to give these children, the best education possible and the same opportunity that all of us had. The first part to my theory is that the child would have to be diagnosed at a fairly early age, if at all possible. If not, when a parent begins noticing symptoms, they should enroll their child into a program of some sort or begin at-home treatments, and these can include anywhere from looking at books to playing games, depending on the child's age. The second part to my theory is that the child should be put into preschool. This is just so that they can have those social interactions at a very young age, and that's what they grow up with. That's all they know. The next thing is that they should be put into kindergarten at a normal age, but they should be paired with a non-autistic child through a program of some sort. My final theory is that we should offer life skills classes to children with autism, and that way they can be taught things like how to recognize sarcasm. While all of this could potentially lead to an extraordinary experiment that would take years to conduct, I believe that none of it could ever be possible without one important component: the teachers and the peers of the students. In a survey conducted of parents with autistic children, nearly 70% of the parents said that they believed that teachers with good autism knowledge and training made the biggest difference in their child's education. If the teachers and the peers know about autism and they are able to help that child through school and be supportive, that will be far more beneficial than any program could ever do. Dr. Colin Zimbelman, who works with children and adults with autism, stated, "Autism offers a chance for us to glimpse an awe-filled vision of the world that might otherwise pass us by." Many famous people who you may have heard of, including Albert Einstein, Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, Lewis Carroll, Isaac Newton, and even the man our school was named after, Thomas Jefferson, were all thought to be somewhere on the autism spectrum. That's pretty amazing. I believe that our education system needs to stop looking at learning disabilities as disabilities and begin looking at them and attempting to learn and embrace everyone's different learning habits. Maybe we need to rethink how to learn. Maybe the ones that are said to be normal aren't normal after all. Like John Robinson, who has autism, said, "And now I know it is perfectly natural for me to not look at someone when I talk. In fact, I don't really understand why it's considered normal to stare at someone's eyeballs." Maybe it's time that we stop trying to define normal and we start trying to define the characteristics that define us. Maybe it's time for us to put together our own Legos. Thank you.